Okay. Chapter 10.
Oh, no, we're not going to start yet. So,
Okay.
but anyways, howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Other Books for. I know, exciting, isn't it?
The other books.
Good morning or hello, good afternoon, GR and Landon.
The other books for what?
I don't know. You're muted again, GR.
Me?
No, I'm just being quiet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And we have
I can do that.
Lynn is with us too. That she's going to pop in later when we do the discussion.
Okay.
So today we are reading Jasher chapters 10, 11, and 12. Exciting. See, we don't need music here to set the mood.
Oh.
We don't need any of that. We have the book of Jasher. And awesome readers, too. Okay, let's go ahead and pray in, and then we will start reading. Heavenly Father, thank you very much for giving us this time to come together so that we can read this book of Jasher that's mentioned so often in Scripture. We're very grateful for that, and we would just ask you to pour out your spirit of knowledge, understanding, and discernment for what it is we read, and just ask your blessing on everybody that's here now and in the future, that this would be a good learning tool for them. And, well, we thank you for that. We ask for your healing on people that are suffering from issues with their health right now, and ask you to heal up potential headaches and blurry vision, and people suffering from blood clots. We ask that you recover them fully, and also those that have had surgery recently. We would ask you to recover them as well. Thank you, Father. Bless you in Jesus Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
All righty. So, let's see here. We said someone was going to go first. Oh, yes. Okay. Whoop. I probably should have done the screen share first. There we go. Oh, hold on. Weird. Why do I have two of those? I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Okay. Jasher chapter 10. Take it.
Jasher chapter 10. And Peleg, the son of Eber, died in those days, and in the 48th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah, and all the days of Peleg were 239 years. And when the Lord had scattered the sons of men on account of their sin at the tower, behold, they spread forth into many divisions, and all the sons of men were dispersed into the four corners of the earth. And all the families became each according to its language, its land, or its city. And the sons of men built many cities according to their families in all their places where they went, and throughout the earth where the Lord had scattered them. And some of them built cities in places from which they were afterward extirpated, and they called these cities after their own names, or the names of their children, or after their particular occurrences. And the sons of Japheth, the son of Noah, went and built themselves cities in the places where they were scattered. And they called all their cities after their names. And the sons of Japheth were divided upon the face of the earth into many divisions and languages. And these are the sons of Japheth, according to their families: Gomer, Magog, Madai, Yavan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. These are the children of Japheth according to their generations. And the children of Gomer, according to their cities, were the Frankim, who dwelled in the land of Franza, by the river Franza, by the river Sanaa. And the children of Rephath were Bartonim, who dwell in the land of Bartonia by the river Ledah, which empties its waters in the great sea Gahan, that is, Oceanus. And the children of Tugarma are 10 families, and these are these names: Buzar, Parzunak, Balgar, Elakanam, Ragbib, Tarki, Bed, Zebuk, Ongal, and Tilmaz. And all these spread and rested in the north and built themselves cities. And they called their cities after their own names. Those are they who abide by the rivers Hitla and Etalak unto this day. But the families of Angoli, Balgar, Parzanak, they dwell by the great river Dubni, and the names of their cities were also according to their own names. And the children of Javan were Javanim, who dwell in the land of Macedonia, and the children of Medair are Oralim, that dwell in the land of Curson, and the children of Tubal are those that dwell in the land of Toshkana by the river Pashia. And the children of Meshach are the Shibaznis, and the children of Turas are Rushash, Cushni, and Angolas. All these went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities that are situate by the sea Jabas, by the river Kura, which empties itself into the river Tragan. And the children of Elisha are the Amanim, and they also went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities situated between the mountains of Job and Shibapmo. And of them were the people of Lombardy, who dwell opposite the mountains of Job and Shibapmo, and they conquered the land of Italia and remained there unto this day. And the children of Kittim are the Romim, who dwell in the valley of Canopia by the river Tibro. And the children of Dudonim are those who dwell in the cities of the sea Gahan in the land of Bordna. These are the families of the children of Japheth, according to their cities and languages. When they were scattered after the tower, and they called their cities after their names and occurrences. And these are the names of all their cities according to their families, which they built in those days after the tower. And the children of Ham were Cush, Mitzrayim, Phut, and Canaan, according to their generation and cities. All these went and built themselves cities as they found it fit places for them. And they called their cities after the names of their fathers, Cush, Mitzrayim, Phut, and Canaan. And the children of Mitzrayim are the Ludim, Anamim, Lahavim, Naptukim, Pathruzim, Kazlukim, and Caphtorim, 7 families. All these dwell by the river Sihor, which is the brook of Egypt, and they built themselves cities and called them after their own names. And the children of Pathros and Casluch intermarried together, and from them went forth the Pelishtim, and the Azatim, and the Gerarim, and the Gittim, and the Ekronim, in all 5 families. These also built themselves cities, and they call their cities after the names of their fathers unto this day. And the children of Canaan also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after their names, 11 cities and others without number. And 4 men from the family of Ham went to the land of the plain. These are the names of the 4 men: Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. And these men built for themselves 4 cities in the land of the plain, and they called the names of their cities after their own names. And they and their children and all belonging to them dwelt in those cities, and they were fruitful and multiplied greatly and dealt peaceably. And Seir, the son of Hur, son of Hivi, son of Canaan, went and found a valley opposite to Mount Paran, and he built a city there. And he and his 7 sons and his household dwelt there. And he called the city which he built Seir, according to his name. That is the land of Seir to this day. These are the families of the children of Ham, according to their languages and cities, when they were scattered to their countries after the tower. And some of the children of Shem, son of Noah, father of all the children of Eber, also went and built themselves cities in the places wherein they were scattered, and they called their cities after their names. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram, and they built themselves cities and called the names of all their cities after their names. And Asher, son of Shem, And his children and household went forth at that time, a very large body of them, and they went to a distant land that they found. And they met with a very extensive valley in the land that they went to, and they built themselves 4 cities, and they called them after their own names and occurrences. And these are the names of the cities which the children of Asher built: Nineveh, Resen, Calach, and Rehoboth. And the children of Asher dwell there unto this day. And the children of Aram also went and built themselves a city, and they called the name of the city Uz, after their eldest brother, and they dwell therein. That is the land of Uz to this day. And in the 2nd year after the tower, a man from the house of Asher, whose name was Bela, went from the land of Nineveh to sojourn with his household wherever he could find a place. And they came until opposite the cities of the plain against Sodom, and they dwelt there. And the man rose up and built there a small city, and called its name Bela, after his name, that is the land of Zoar unto this day. And these are the families of the children of Shem, according to their language and cities, after they were scattered upon the earth after the tower. And every kingdom, city, and family of the families of the children of Noah built themselves many cities after this. And they established governments in all their cities in order to be regulated by their orders. So did all the families of the children of Noah forever.
Chapter 11. Nimrod, son of Cush, was still in the land of Shinar, and he reigned over it and dwelt there, and he built cities in the land of Shinar. And these are the names of the 4 cities which he built, and he called their name after the occurrences that happened to them in the building of the tower. And he called the first Babel. Oh, sorry, I lost my place. He called the first Babel, saying, because the Lord there confounded the language of the whole earth. And the name of the second he called Erech, because from there God dispersed them. And the third he called Aked, saying, there was a great battle at that place. And the fourth he called Calneh, because his princes and mighty men were consumed there. And they vexed the Lord, they rebelled, and transgressed against him. And when Nimrod had built these cities in the land of Shinar, he placed in them the remainder of his people, his princes, and his mighty men that were left in his kingdom. And Nimrod dwelt in Babel, and there renewed his reign over the rest of his subjects. And he reigned securely. And the subjects and princes of Nimrod called his name Amraphel, saying that at the tower his princes and men fell through his means. And notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not return to the Lord, and he continued in wickedness and teaching wickedness to the sons of men. And Mardon, his son, was worse than his father, and continued to add to the abominations of his father. And he caused the sons of men to sin. Therefore it is said, from the wicked goeth forth wickedness. At that time there was war between the families of the children of Ham, and they were dwelling in the cities which they had built. And Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, went away from his families of the children of Ham, and he fought with them, and he subdued them. And he went to the 5 cities of the plain, and he fought against them, and he subdued them, and they were under his control. And they served him 12 years, and they gave him a yearly tax. At that time died Nahor, son of Serug, in the 49th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah. And in the 15th year of the life of Abram, son of Terah, Abram came forth from the house of Noah and went to his father's house. And Abram knew the Lord, and he went in his way and instructions, and the Lord his God was with him. And Terah, his father, was in those days still captain of the host of King Nimrod, and he still followed strange gods. And Abram came to his father's house and saw 12 gods standing there in their temples. And the anger of Abram was kindled when he saw these images in his father's house. And Abram said, as the Lord liveth, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall the Lord who created me do unto me, if in 3 days' time I do not break them all. And Abram went from them, and his anger burned within him. And Abram hasted and went from the chamber of his father's outer court, and he found his father sitting in the court, and all his servants with him. And Abram came and sat before him. And Abram asked his father, saying, Father, tell me, where is God, who created heaven and earth, and all the sons of men upon earth, and who created thee and me? And Terah answered his son, Abram, and said, Behold, those who created us are all with us in the house. And Abram said to his father, My Lord, show them to me, I pray thee. And Terah brought Abram into the chamber of the inner court. And Abram saw, and behold, the whole room was full of gods, of wood and stone, 12 great images, and others less than they, without number. And Terah said to his son, Behold, these are they which made all thou seest upon the earth, and which created me and thee and all mankind. And Terah bowed down to his gods, and he then went away from them, and Abram his son went away with him. And when Abram had gone from them, he went to his mother and sat before her. And he said to his mother, Behold, my father has shown me those who made heaven and earth and all the sons of men. Now therefore hasten and fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it savory meat, that I may bring it to my father's gods as an offering for them to eat. Perhaps I may thereby become acceptable to them. And his mother did so, and she fetched a kid and made savory meat thereof, and brought it to Abram. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's gods. And he drew nigh to them that they might eat. And Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram saw in the day when he was sitting amongst them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion. Not one of them could stretch forth his hand to eat. And Abram mocked them and said, Surely the savory meat that I had prepared has not pleased them. Or perhaps it was too little for them, and for that reason they would not eat. Therefore tomorrow I will prepare fresh savory meat, better and more plentiful than this, in order that I may see the result. And it was on the day that Abram directed his mother concerning the savory meat, and his mother rose and fetched 3 fine kids from the flock, and she made of them some excellent savory meat, such as her son was fond of. And she gave it to her son Abram, and Terah his father did not know of it. And Abram took the savory meat from his mother, and brought it before his father's gods in the chamber. And he came nigh unto them that they might eat. And he placed it before them. And Abram sat before them all day, thinking perhaps they might eat. And Abram viewed them, and behold, they had neither voice nor hearing, nor did one of them stretch forth their hand to the meat to eat. And in the evening of that day, in the house of Abram, in that house, Abram was clothed with the Spirit of God. And he called out and said, Woe unto my father in this wicked generation, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity, who serve these idols of wood and stone, which can neither eat, smell, hear, nor speak, who have mouths without speech, eyes without sight, ears without hearing, hands without feeling, and legs which cannot move. Like them are those that made them, and that trust in them. And when Abram saw all these things, his anger was kindled against his father, and he hastened and took a hatchet in his hand, and came unto the chamber of the gods, and he broke all his father's gods. And when he had done breaking the images, he placed the hatchet in the hands of the great God, which was there before them. And he went out, and Terah his father came home, for he had heard at the door the sound of the striking of the hatchet. So Terah came unto the house to know what this was about. And Terah, having heard the noise of the hatchet in the room of the images, ran to the room of the images, and he met Abram going out. And Terah entered the room and found all the idols fallen down and broken, and the hatchet in the hand of the largest, which was not broken, and the savory meat which Abram his son had made was still before them. And when Terah saw this, his anger was greatly kindled, and he hastened and went from the room to Abram. And he found Abram his son still sitting in the house, and he said to him, What is this work thou hast done to my gods? And Abram answered Terah his father and said, Not so, my lord, for I brought savory meat before them. And when I came nigh to them with the meat that they might eat, they all at once stretched forth their hands to eat before the great one had put forth his hand to eat. And the larger one saw their works that they did before him, and his anger was violently kindled against them. And he went and took the hatchet that was in the house, and came to them, and broke them all. And behold, the hatchet is yet in his hand, as thou seest. And Terah's anger was kindled against his son Abram when he spoke this. And Terah said to Abram his son in his anger, "What is this tale that thou hast told? Thou speakest lies to me. Is there in these gods spirit, soul, or power to do all thou hast told me? Are they not wood and stone? And have I not myself made them? And canst thou speak such lies, saying that the large God that was with them smote them, and that it is thou that didst place the hatchet in his hands, and then sayest he smote them all?" And Abram answered his father and said to him, "And how canst thou then serve these idols, in whom there is no power to do anything? Can those idols in which thou trustest deliver thee? Can they hear thy prayer when thou callest upon them? Can they deliver thee from the hands of thy enemies? Or will they fight thy battles for thee against thy enemies, that thou shouldest serve wood and stone, which can neither speak nor hear? And now surely it is not good for thee, nor the sons of men that are connected with thee, to do these things. Are you so silly, so foolish, or so short of understanding, that you will serve wood and stone, and do after this manner? And, and forget the Lord God, who made heaven and earth, and who's created you in the earth, and thereby bring a great evil upon your souls in this matter, by serving stone and wood. Did not our fathers in days of old sin in this matter? And the Lord God of the universe brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed the whole earth. How can you continue to do this and serve gods of wood and stone, who cannot hear or speak or deliver you from oppression, thereby bringing down the anger of God of the universe upon you? Now therefore, my father, refrain from this, and bring not evil upon thy soul and the souls of thy household." And Abram hastened and sprang from before his father, and took the hatchet from his father's largest idol, with which Abram broke it and ran away. And Terah, seeing all that Abram had done, hastened to go from his house. And he went to the king. And he came before Nimrod and stood before him, and he bowed down to the king. And the king said, "What dost thou want?" And he said, "I beseech thee, my lord, to hear me. Now 50 years back a child was born to me, and thus has he done to my gods, and thus has he spoken. And now therefore, my lord and king, send for him, that he may come before thee, and judge him according to the law, that we may be delivered from his evil." And the king sent 3 men of his servants, and they went and brought Abram before the king. And Nimrod and all his princes and servants were that day sitting before him, and Terah sat also before them. And the king said to Abram, "What is this that thou hast done to thy father and to his gods?" And Abram answered to the king in the words that he spoke to his father. And he said, "The large God that was with them in the house did to them what thou hast heard." And the king said to Abram, "Had they power to speak and eat and do as thou hast said?" And Abram answered the king, saying, "And if there be no power in them, why dost thou serve them, and cause the sons of men to err through thy follies? Dost thou imagine that they can deliver thee, and do anything small or great, that thou shouldest serve them? And why wilt thou not sense the God of the whole universe, who created thee, and in whose power it is to kill and keep alive? O foolish, simple, and ignorant king, woe unto thee forever. I thought thou wouldst teach thy servants the upright way, but thou hast not done this. Thou hast filled the whole earth with thy sins and the sins of thy people who have followed thy ways. Dost thou not know, or hast thou not heard, that this evil which thou doest, our ancestors sinned therein days of old? And the eternal God brought the waters of the flood upon them and destroyed them all, and also destroyed the whole earth on their account. And wilt thou and thy people rise up now and do like undo his work, in order to bring down the anger of the Lord God of the universe, and to bring evil upon thee and the whole earth? Now therefore put away this evil deed which thou doest, and serve the God of the universe, as thy soul is in his hands, and then it will be well with thee. And if thy wicked heart will not hearken unto my words, to cause thee to forsake thy evil ways, and to serve the eternal God, then wilt thou die in shame in the latter days, thou, thy people, and all who are connected with thee, hearing thy words or walking in thy evil ways. And when Abram had ceased speaking before the king and the princes, Abram lifted up his eyes to the heaven, and he said, "The Lord seeth all the wicked, and he will judge them."
Jasher chapter 12. And when the king heard the words of Abram, he ordered him to be put into prison. And Abram was 10 days in prison. And at the end of those days, the king ordered all the kings, princes, and governors of different provinces and the sages should come before him. And they sat before him. And Abram was still in the house of confinement. And the king said to the princes and sages, "Have you heard what Abram the son of Terah has done to his father? Thus has he done to him, and I ordered him to be brought before me. And thus has he spoken. His heart did not misgive him, neither did he stir in my presence. And behold, now he is confined in the prison. And therefore decide what judgment is due this man who reviled the king, who spoke and did all the things that you heard." And they all answered the king, saying, "The man who revileth the king should be hanged upon a tree. But having done all the things that he said, and having despised our gods, he must therefore be burned to death. For this is the law in this matter. If it pleaseth the king to do this, let him order his servants to kindle a fire both night and day in thy brick furnace, and then we will cast this man into it." And the king did so. And he commanded his servants that they should prepare a fire for 3 days and 3 nights in the king's furnace, that is in Kasdim. And the king ordered them to take Abram from prison and bring him out to be burned. And all the king's servants, princes, lords, governors, and judges, and all the inhabitants of the land, about 900,000 men, stood opposite the furnace to see Abram. And all the women and little ones crowded upon the roofs and towers to see what was doing with Abram. And they all stood together at a distance, and there was not a man left that did not come on that day to behold the scene. And when Abram was come, the conjurers of the king and the sages saw Abram, and they cried out to the king, saying, "Our sovereign lord, surely this is the man whom we know to have been the child at whose birth the great star swallowed the 4 stars, which we declared to the king now 50 years since. And behold, now his father has also transgressed thy commands and mocked thee by bringing thee another child, which thou didst kill." And when the king heard their words, he was exceedingly wroth, and he ordered Terah to be brought before him. And the king said, "Hast thou heard what the conjurers have spoken? Now tell me truly, how didst thou? And if thou shalt speak truth, thou shalt be acquitted." And seeing that the king's anger was so much kindled, Terah said to the king, "My lord and king, thou hast heard the truth, and what the sages have spoken is right." And the king said, "How couldst thou do this thing, to transgress my orders, and to give me a child that thou didst not beget, and to take value for him?" And Terah answered the king, "Because my tender feelings were excited for my son at that time, and I took a son of my handmaid, and I brought him to the king." And the king said, "Who advised thee to this? Tell me, do not hide aught from me, and then thou shalt not die." And Terah was greatly terrified in the king's presence. And he said to the king, "It was Haran, my eldest son, who advised me to this." And Haran was in those days that Abram was born 32 years old. But Haran did not advise his father to anything. For Terah said this to the king in order to deliver his soul from the king, for he feared greatly. And the king said to Terah, "Haran thy son, who advised thee to this, shall die through fire with Abram, for the sentence of death is upon him for having rebelled against the king's desire in doing this thing." And Haran at that time felt inclined to follow the ways of Abram, but he kept it within himself. And Haran said in his heart, "Behold, now the king has seized Abram on account of these things, which Abram did. And it shall come to pass that if Abram prevail over the king, I will follow him. But if the king prevail, I will go after the king." And when Terah had spoken this to the king concerning Haran his son, the king ordered Haran to be seized with Abram. And they brought them both, Abram and Haran his brother, to cast them into the fire. and all the inhabitants of the land, and the king's servants, and princes, and all the women and little ones were there, standing that day over them. And the king's servants took Abram and his brother, and they stripped them of all their clothes, excepting their lower garments, which were upon them. And they bound their hands and feet with linen cords, and the servants of the king lifted them up and cast them both into the furnace. And the Lord loved Abram, and he had compassion over him. And the Lord came down and delivered Abram from the fire, and he was not burned. But all the cords with which they bound him were burned, while Abram remained and walked about in the fire. And Haran died when they cast him into the fire, and he was burned to ashes, for his heart was not perfect with the Lord. And those men who cast him into the fire, the flame of the fire spread over them, and they were burned, and 12 men of them died. And Abram walked in the midst of the fire 3 days and 3 nights. And all the servants of the king saw him walking in the fire. And they came and told the king, saying, Behold, we have seen Abram walking about in the midst of the fire, and even the lower garments which are upon him are not burned, but the cord with which he was bound is burned. And when the king heard their words, his heart fainted, and he would not believe them. So he sent other faithful princes to see this matter. And when they went and saw it, and told it to the king, and the king rose to go and see it, and Abram walking to and fro in the midst of the fire. And he saw Haran's body burned, and the king wondered greatly. And the king ordered Abram to be taken out from the fire. And his servants approached to take him out, and they could not, for the fire was round about, and the flame ascending toward them from the furnace. And the king's servants fled from it. And the king rebuked them, saying, Make haste and bring Abram out of the fire, that you shall not die. And the servants of the king approached to bring Abram out, and the flames came upon them and burned their faces, so that 8 of them died. And when the king saw that his servants could not approach the fire, lest they should be burned, the king called to Abram, O servant of the God who is in heaven, go forth from amidst the fire, and come hither before me. And Abram hearkened to the voice of the king, and he went forth from the fire, and came and stood before the king. And when Abram came out, the king and all his servants saw Abram coming before the king with his lower garments upon him, for they were not burned, but the cord with which he was bound was burned. And the king said to Abram, How is it thou wast not burned in the fire? And Abram said to the king, The God of heaven and earth, in whom I trust, and who has all in his power, he delivered me from the fire into which thou didst cast me. And Haran, the brother of Abram, was burned to ashes. And they sought for his body, and they found it consumed. And Haran was 82 years old when he died in the fire of Kasdim. And the king, princes, and inhabitants of the land, seeing that Abram was delivered from the fire, they came and bowed down to Abram. And Abram said to them, Do not bow down to me, but bow down to the God of the world who made you, and serve him, and go in his ways. For it is he who delivered me from out of the fire, and it is he who created the souls and spirits of all men, and formed man in his mother's womb, and brought him forth into the world, and it is he who will deliver those who trust him from all pain. And this thing seemed very wonderful in the eyes of the king and the princes, that Abram was saved from the fire, and that Haran was burned. And the king gave Abram many presents, and he gave him his 2 head servants from the king's house. The name of one was Onai, and the name of the other was Eleazar. Pardon me. And all the kings, princes, and servants gave Abram many gifts of silver and gold and pearl. And the king and his princes sent him away, and he went in peace. And Abram went forth from the king in peace, and many of the king's servants followed him. About 300 men joined him. And Abram returned on that day and went to his father's house, he and the men who followed him. And Abram served the Lord his God all the days of his life, and he walked in his ways and followed his law. And from that day forward, Abram inclined the hearts of the sons of men to serve the Lord. And at that time, Nahor and Abram took unto themselves wives, the daughters of their brother Haran, the wife of Nahor and Milcah, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarai. And Sarai, wife of Abram, was barren. She had no offspring in those days. And at the expiration of 2 years from Abram's going out of the fire, that is in the 52nd year of his life, behold, King Nimrod sat in Babel upon the throne, and the king fell asleep and dreamed that he was standing with his troops and host in a valley opposite the king's furnace. And he lifted up his eyes and saw a man in the likeness of Abram coming forth from the furnace, and that he came and stood before the king with his drawn sword, and then sprang to the king with his sword. And when the king fled from the man, for he was afraid, and while he was running, the man threw an egg upon the king's head, and the egg became a great river. And the king dreamed that all his troops sank in the river and died, and the king took flight with 3 men who were before him, and he escaped. And the king looked at those men, and they were clothed in princely dresses as the garments of kings, and had the appearance and majesty of kings. And while they were running, the river again turned to an egg before the king. And there came forth from the egg a young bird, which came before the king, and flew at his head and plucked out the king's eyes. And the king was grieved at the sight, and he awoke out of his sleep, and his spirit was agitated, and he felt a great terror. And in the morning, the king arose from his couch in fear, and he ordered all the wise men and magicians to come before him. When the king related his dream to them, and a wise servant of the king, whose name was Anuki, answered the king, saying, "This is nothing else but the evil of Abram and his seed, which will spring up against my lord and the king in the latter days. And behold, the day will come when Abram and his seed and the children of his household will war with my king, and they will smite all the king's hosts and his troops. And as to what thou hast said concerning 3 men which thou didst see like unto thyself, and which did escape, this means that only thou wilt escape with 3 kings from the kings of the earth, who will be with thee in battle. And that which thou sawest of the river, which turned to an egg as at first, and the young bird plucking out thine eyes, this means nothing else but the seed of Abram, which will slay the king in the latter days. This is my king's dream, and this is the interpretation. And the dream is true, and the interpretation which thy servant has given thee is right. Now therefore, my king, surely thou knowest that it is now 52 years since thy sages saw this at the birth of Abram. And if my kings will suffer Abram to live in the earth, it will be to the injury of my lord and king. For all the days that Abram liveth, neither thou nor thy kingdom will be established. For this was known formerly at his birth. And why will not my king slay him, that his evil be kept from thee in the latter days? And Nimrod hearkened to the voice of Anuki, and he sent some of his servants in secret to go and seize Abram and bring him before the king to suffer death. And Eliezer, Abram's servant, whom the king had given him, was at that time in the presence of the king, and he heard what Anuki had advised the king, and what the king had said to cause Abram's death. And Eliezer sent to Abram, "Hasten, rise up and save thy soul, that thou mayest not die through the hands of the king. For thus did he see in a dream concerning thee, and thus did Anuki interpret it. And thus also did Anuki advise the king concerning thee." And Abram hearkened to the voice of Eliezer. And Abram hastened and ran for safety to the house of Noah and his son Shem. And he concealed himself there and found a place of safety. And the king's servants came to Abram's house to seek him, but they could not find him. And they searched throughout the country, and he was not to be found. And they went and searched in every direction, and he was not to be met with. And when the king's servants could not find Abram, they returned to the king. But the king's anger against Abram was stilled, and they did not find him. And the king drove from his mind this matter concerning Abram. And Abram was concealed in Noah's house for 1 month, until the king had forgotten this matter. But Abram was still afraid of the king, and Terah came to see Abram his son secretly in the house of Noah. And Terah was very great in the eyes of the king. And Abram said to his father, "Dost thou not know that the king thinketh to slay me and to annihilate my name from the earth by the advice of his wicked counselors? Now, whom hast thou here, and what hast thou in this land? Arise, Let us go together to the land of Canaan, that we may be delivered from his hand, lest thou perish also through him in the latter days. Dost thou not know, or hast thou not heard, that it is not through love that Nimrod giveth thee all this honor, but it is only for his benefit that he bestoweth all this good upon thee? And if he do unto thee greater good than this, surely these are only vanities of the world, for wealth and riches cannot avail in the day of the wrath and anger. And now, therefore, hearken to my voice, and let us arise and go to the land of Canaan, out of the reach of injury from Nimrod, and serve thou the Lord who created thee in all the earth, and it will be well with thee. And cast away all the vain things which thou pursuest. And Abram ceased to speak when Noah and his son Shem answered Terah, saying, True is the word which Abram hath said unto thee. And Terah hearkened to the voice of his son Abram, and Terah did all that Abram said. For this was from the Lord, that the king should not cause Abram's death. All righty. Look at all those happy, smiling faces. Okay.
Good, you're back in, Lynn.
There's Lynn again. Okay. So, what do you make of that? Huh? Okay, let's go back to 11, shall we?
So maybe
Or 10, I mean. Sorry.
I'm trying to formulate questions with words. I was wondering, so all this stuff happened at the tower. Is this okay? I guess, and I've read this book several times, and I guess I always imagine that all this stuff, besides the naming of the cities, but what they went into, the whole scene with Abraham and his dad was kind of like during the time of the tower. But I mean, like maybe that's it's like the precursor to, you know what I mean? They explain the events that are going to happen. I don't know, but I mean, how do y'all see that?
This is my opinion. I see it in the order that we're reading it here. So we have in chapter 10, we have the tower has been destructed, and they're now being scattered. This is why it gives the names and locations of all these people and where they went to, and the names of those lands, and they all built up cities. But of the people that stayed behind, near the remnant, that 1/3 of the Tower of Babel, when we get to chapter 11, that's the story they're given. Right?
Okay. Right.
So Nimrod's still head honcho.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all talking caveman speak to each other.
Another observation I was wondering, but one, you just made me think the people that went to Italia, I'm guessing they had unleavened bread. Somebody had a tomato. History. But anyway,
I like the name of one of the people was Lombardo.
Right. No, Lombardy is a city. Like, I want to see this place. Beautiful. It's northern Italy. I mean, right. Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so the other thing that I noticed when it talks about the areas that Nimrod named, maybe I'm getting ahead, if anybody stop me, if anybody has something for the earlier part, but so Nimrod named these cities based on God's judgment towards his people or things that happened. And as we were reading it, I was picturing, it's like, okay, so a third of the people he changed, they were deformed basically because of the gods. A third he smote. Those are the ones that shot into, heaven, that he let the arrows come back down. They said, yay, we killed him. And
Surprise.
So like either something else happened in a neighboring city, or the tower was that large of a space. You know what I mean? Because they're still in the plain, so he's building other cities and naming them. And it was just like, he's like, this is the spot where I lost all my princes. God judged them. This is this, I don't know. I just I had imagined that maybe there was a correlation between the judgments that happened at the tower and where he placed these cities and named them because of events that had happened, unless we're missing information. Go for it.
Okay. Just my thought. it's not all linear. It's going back and forth. It's describing this part, and this is what happened over here, and these people spread out and made these cities over here, and then, you know, then you take a step back and you go, okay, now while that all this is transpiring, history is transpiring, these cities were formed and these families, and it's just kind of, it's hard to put everything up at one time. Otherwise, you're just going blah,
Right.
you know.
Yes, I do.
It's just
like-
it's a back and forth. It's, because it's narrating what transpired. Maybe not at that moment, but it's, it's giving you some history of those certain areas and who they're from and, their genealogy, basically.
So I got a question for you. In verse 25 of chapter 10, it says, and 4 men from the family of Ham went to the land of the plain. These are the names of the 4 men: Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. So does that mean, as we get further into the stories, that those people are homosexual? No? Okay.
Okay.
Dad joke.
Oh.
I got it.
Homosexual? Okay, never mind.
Ham sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to be a part of that sandwich. No. All right. So basically, we have the genealogies of the survivors and whereabouts they were scattered. Let's go to chapter 11, shall we?
And I see why you gave me the first chapter now.
I gave it to you because it was the shortest.
Well, okay, that's the compensation, okay? It's the payoff for having to say all of these.
Well, you don't ever have a problem with names. You're good with names.
And you saved me a free ticket because we just went through something where he's like, hey man, I'll take the names next time. I'm still gonna hold you to that, by the way. You're not
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to chapter 11. Chapter 11, now we get back into the finer story, which is Abram calling out his dad Terah on worshiping idols. Right. And this is after he leaves. We're told he leaves the house of Noah after what? He was like 50 years old.
Yeah. Well, if you put it, because I did this for something I was researching I basically did the math on what time Abraham died. They lived a lot longer. He would have, like in modern times, he would have been around like 25 to early 30s, like in maturity of age. If you know what I mean? I'm just saying, if we age the same way, he would still be a young pup.
Because we age quickly now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Our bodies wear out faster. I know, man. I can't believe it. I just turned 25.
Right.
Again.
Right, young buck.
Started turning gray in high school, which is true. Oy vey. All right.
You want to know those cities that were named?
Yes.
Aren't those all the ones that got sulfur hailed down onto them?
5 cities, wasn't it?
See, but that's why I'm thinking, I'm picturing this that while they were all gathered at the same place, that it was like Tokyo or Mexico City or New York City, London, where it's just this huge metropolis of humanness. And I'm not saying humanness like, oh, the humanity. I'm saying like, ew, the humanity, that sort of, because when you congregate people together like that, you get the grossness and vileness.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard your major cities stink. Most people visited.
Well, you're close to New Orleans. I mean,
Right. We generally,
population there.
I mean, if it's anything around like the quarter, I mean, they're constantly battling the smell and they spray scent down on the street to cover up the humanness. But I've had family go to like New York. I'd love to see New York City. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's an experience, but they were like, man, the smells. Wow. You know?
Yeah.
I don't remember
yeah.
New York City smelling. Okay, I've been there several times. It's a really exciting place to go and visit for a few days, but I would never ever want to live there.
New Orleans.
Interesting. Just looking at Wikipedia, it says the New Orleans metro area is a little bit over 1 million. That's about the same size as Tucson. Don't get me wrong. Once you get to downtown Tucson, that's pretty icky.
I haven't been to Tucson in 60 years.
It used to be nice there.
Mm-hmm.
Back when you could get tortillas on the street corner. Okay. All right. So, anyways, this just burns Abram up that his dad's worshiping idols. So he tests them. I think that's interesting in itself. He gives them a test by putting food out and then watches them. Right? And they don't eat because they're made of wood and gold and silver and ivory and whatever else. So they don't eat the meals that are offered to them. And then he just gets so incensed. He takes him out. He gets a hatchet.
No.
Takes him out. But then I love the way he frames it, and then he talks to his dad, Columbo, who's like, that didn't happen. So what happened, right? His dad has no problem solving this crime at all for some reason.
Because in reality, he knew that they were nothing.
Yep.
Except his paycheck.
Right. Except his paycheck. Right. Yeah. That's the way it is. You were going to say something, Landon?
I was just thinking it seems more like the national religion. Whenever you see people, you can kind of see it in some politics when they're just like, yeah, I'm a believer, you know. Because I mean, his dad loved him, obviously, to go against his king, to be the right hand man of the king, and to go against him and hide his son away for a while, but then still be so devout to religion.
Right. So, yeah, that kind of boggles my mind if you look at people's social media profiles. You know, it says their social media profile will say, you know, American by birth, First Amendment, Second Amendment, constitutionalist, husband, brother, follower of Christ. Down at the bottom, down at the very bottom, follower of Christ or Christian, God follower. Why isn't that at the top, and why isn't it standing alone? Just my opinion. That's kind of how I see these wooden
Good point.
things. Just my opinion. So now that we've lost subscribers,
Oh, okay.
but
Backing
so,
up when I was talking about like his 50th year and like when he was getting married and that sort of thing. And in the timeline, if we were thinking like in ours, okay, he was born in 1948 AM, so that it would have been roughly around 1998 or 2008 AM, if we're kind of corresponding in our timeline things.
okay, explain what you mean by AM for people.
Anno Mundi,
Okay.
okay, that's like from the beginning of time. of our when
Creation.
from creation, from the time that the sun, the moon, and the stars were put up there to start the clock. That's yeah.
Okay, so I found something very interesting in here. So Terah goes and tattles on his son to Nimrod. Nimrod sends some servants to go get Abram and throws Abram in jail after he admits to it, right? Throws Abram after he's bluntly honest. It's like, yeah, this is what happened. And then you got Nimrod. Oh, you think I'm so stupid as to believe that our gods that created everything actually chopped each other up? And he throws him in jail for how long?
10 days.
And how long are we told we're going to be put in jail for? And
10 days.
Interesting. And brought before kings and rulers. I just find that consistency very interesting.
Maybe it's business days because they don't hold court on the weekend.
Unless they want something to pass that they don't want people stinking up about. Yep. So that I found interesting. 10 days. And
yeah, I picked up on that. Okay, I've been through this book how many times? And and I picked it up on this specific reading. Thank you, Landon. It took your voice to point it out to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating the way it works reading through these books.
Yeah, and then hearing the word triggers, I think, more sometimes than just reading.
And how shall they hear unless they have a preacher? Huh. Okay, that's a quote from Paul, by the way. So what about this whole thing with Haran gets thrown in there too?
Yeah.
So Haran gets thrown into this furnace. They stoke the furnace for 3 days and 3 nights, it says, which is interesting number.
So they're stuck in jail like that. You know what I mean? Like there's probably chatter going back to that's an interesting test of faith. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
What, being stuck in jail?
No, you're sitting in jail and like the rumors are coming. They're like, guards or whatever talking about, man, they're heating up the furnace for, you know what I mean?
Oh, and then you have probably the antagonistic guards too. They're like, man, they're making that fire so hot, you are going to scorch.
Right.
You're going to go poof.
We'll see if the gods eat now.
Yeah. You're gonna burst into flames like a piece of parchment on a campfire.
But I did want to say when he said, I'm sorry, I just back up because we're moving forward, but the boldness on this dude talking to the king. It's pretty, anyway, yeah. Oh, wicked and foolish. Wait, what was it? Oh, foolish, simple, and ignorant king, woe unto thee forever. Anyway.
Sounds like a curse, doesn't it?
Oh. Yeah.
Well, he kind of cursed himself, bowing down to them idols and worshiping that one in the mirror.
Yeah.
Looking at himself in the mirror. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Okay. Anyways, that. Man, so he gets roasted. Haran gets roasted. Abram's still going around. Right? Actually, I guess I skipped ahead a little bit, huh?
I know I did want to ask something else, but I don't want to run your train of thought every time.
No, go ahead.
All right, so King says to the princes and sages, this dude, son of Terah, yada, yada, yada. And then there's the reveal of him. And I'm just wondering how they knew. Like, this was a little baby. Terah hid him. They had to hide in a cave for a little while. Then when it was free, they sent him to go live with great-great-great-great-grandpa Noah. But the sages, the practitioners of magic and all that, they're religious, said that this is that boy that you were supposed to kill. I'm just wondering how they, this man is the child that Tara was supposed to give to you. And I'm just curious as to how they knew right away who that's. I don't know. Maybe it was just a deduction of math. Where did this son come from? I don't know. But I just
Well,
thought
what
that. Go ahead.
this is what I think. What I believe is because they had that whole prophecy back before in the previous reading, right? And then they were like, it just got erased from their minds, got blanked out from their minds after they killed the servants, the manservant's son, right, or whoever gave birth to the son in Tara's house, and they're just like, okay, it's all done. The dream was just a warning, not a prophecy.
Right.
Then when this other stuff starts happening, they're like, oh yeah, remember that prophecy?
Right.
They didn't know everything, did they?
Nope. Kind of. Well, everybody just research Operation Looking Glass. That's a fun deep rabbit hole for you.
Abram was at the tower when it right before as it fell, correct? Like he was, because him and Nimrod, they go up and they have this big conversation about the whole, don't they? I'm gonna have to look. I'll find it.
Yeah.
It happened during Abraham's lifetime, but I don't know how old he was when the whole tower thing happened.
2. Okay. Anyways. All right. So let me look and see where I'm thinking at here. That is pretty harsh, huh? Oh, foolish king. Okay, so let's go to chapter 12. And okay, that was the very start of chapter 12 we've been discussing for an hour now. Yep, 10 days in prison. But notice he calls all the leaders together. What should we do? Right? So that's not God's law they're talking about. This is Nimrod's law that he put forth. And whatever else he decided to implement with these people, that when he says, when somebody says, you know what, there ought to be a law. Okay. So why didn't his undergarments burn? But the rest of his stuff burns. Well, I guess they stripped him, right? They stripped him and then bound him with cords?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he had a good foundation. His foundation garments were good.
Mm-hmm. We're not endorsing any modern beliefs in undergarments.
Okay.
Just make that clear. We don't support those.
A lot of those things don't support either.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So very interesting. So they pull him out of the fire, and he kind of lambastes Nimrod again. And then they, in verse 37, they all bow down and start worshiping Abram. Do you think he face palmed? Do you think he was just like, that's like worshiping monkeys or elephants or something?
Okay, with all this going on, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to back up a few verses and tie it in with this one. But when it said should be hanged upon a tree, and then you've got that this is the man, okay, and it makes me think of, our Savior, Yeshua,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and with people gathering around to see the death of him,
Hmm.
and then it being declared that surely this he was the Son of God, you know. And what is these 4 stars?
We discussed that quite a bit
Yeah.
the last time.
I know, but we didn't solve it. But here it is again.
Is that something set forward that we haven't gotten to yet? Maybe, like maybe 4 cities named after men.
I don't know. I'd imagine that like the zodiac changed, like they're not there anymore.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that they were erased. That's what I was trying to discuss with Gwen. Is she was saying, "Oh, well, all we got to do is get that app on our phone, and we can go back in time, and they'll talk about it." But I disagree because whatever's in that application on your phone or computer is programmed from information that they have. So unless they find a scroll or a stone somewhere that describes those 4 stars being eaten, they won't have any
Yeah. And it's
reference.
interesting because like I said, this was somewhere around 2000 AM, and then when you got Christ being born close to 4000 AM, and then when we roughly another 2000 years, give or take a few decades, then we had the Revelation 12 sign in 2017 on September 23rd.
Hmm.
So there's a roughly 2000. I'm wondering if it's a cycle. I don't know.
That's why we were given the seasons for sure.
The age and the age,
Mhm.
the end of the 2000-year age, or whatever.
I'm sure if there is a scroll, the Vatican has it. If you just ask nicely.
If you command them, instruct them to bring it out. So, okay. So after this, they want to kill him again because of the egg dream. So he mocked
Egghead.
you. And so now we have the first mention of him going to the land of Canaan.
Hmm.
What a cliffhanger, eh?
I wonder if they were harder to crack back then.
Just a regular chicken egg is like an ostrich egg thickness.
Right. Well, I'm just saying they were healthier, the calcium, all that. Just, it'd be like hitting somebody with a brick.
Right.
Brick with a yolk in it.
Okay, forgive me, but when we started talking about eggs, a song popped into my head. It was an old Beatles song, and it talked about saying I'm the Eggman.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
The walrus.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about the Sesame Street song. Which came first, chicken or the egg?
No, I didn't. I wasn't a Sesame Street fan, and I didn't allow my children to watch it.
Well, at least some of us were uncorrupted. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for hanging out today. GR, Lynn, Landon, do you have something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
The 3 days and 3 nights.
Oh, in the furnace?
Yeah. That's another coinky dink. Huh?
It is. Jonah?
Well, and it also mentions his findings,
The what findings?
His findings. His findings were off. That's
The bindings
mentioned
were
twice,
gone, but
too.
not his undergarments.
No. Well, that belonged to Babylon.
That's interesting.
Right, but so like his chains were gone.
So the fires of
That's what they're.
the punishing fires of Babylon only worked against the stuff made in Babylon.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? So his undergarments that his mom made or whoever that he got from Fruit of the Loom.
It's their linen division.
Yeah. That is pretty interesting, though.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to read some other books with us, let me know. If you got a blue wrench already, come on. But until then, tune in and we will be here next time. So everybody, muchas gracias. Love you all. Bye.